It just so happens to be 2020. And maybe the reason for that is because we need to see everything that we haven't seen, that we've been blind to. 2020 was crazy for a lot of people, and we want to make 2021 amazing. And if we do, we need to work on our minds more than anything else. The year 2023 doesn't even exist. It doesn't exist in my mind. I'm never going to see it. I'm going to live like that. Now, I've seen a lot of posts of people saying, oh man, I wish that 2020 would just be over. Can we just get on to 2021? And I don't think that people are really taking 2020 for what they should be taking it as. And what I see it as possibly the greatest awakening that our species could ever have, of everything that we're blind to, everything that we're doing wrong, and every opportunity that we personally need to improve upon. And it's kind of, it could be, it could be by plan, I don't know. But, if you think about 2020 and to have 2020 vision, it means that you have perfect vision whenever you go and you get your eyes checked. It just so happens to be 2020. And maybe the reason for that is because we need to see everything that we haven't seen, that we've been blind to, that we have been asleep to, that we have been zombies for. And I think that this year could be the greatest paradigm shift that the world's ever seen. As far as a paradigm is, this is the way that we've always seen the world over here, but over here is what we've been blind to, that we've been needing to see. And now it's so blatantly in front of us that we need to see it, and we need to make a change, or as a species, go extinct. And so we have a couple things that I want to talk about just in this sense. The first thing is obviously the pandemic, the coronavirus coming in. What did that wake us up to that we've been completely blind to, that we haven't been paying attention to? Okay, the first thing, it's opening our eyes to the fact that we don't take care of the earth. We rape the earth, we pillage the earth, we act like it's just there for us, and we take. We don't act like we come from the earth. We don't respect it. We don't give it the respect that it needs, but then also at the same time, we don't treat it the way it should be treated. As if, they say, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Literally, every single aspect of you as a human comes from the earth. The air that you breathe, the food that you put into your body, every single aspect of it comes from the earth, no matter how processed that shit is. And then the last part of it, besides the food, the air, the water that you drink, every single bit of it comes from the earth. You, whether you realize it or not, are the earth. You are the living, breathing, walking, talking version of the earth. Why don't we take care of it better? So we have the pandemic showing us that we are not taking care of the earth. That's one thing that it's showing us. What else is it showing us? We don't take care of animals. We act like animals are just there for us to eat, and that we can just go ahead and we can eat anything that we want. It's all ours to take, and we can just take all of it. It's ours, doesn't matter, don't take care of it. If you've ever driven by, we just came back from Sedona the other day, and we have to drive by dairy farms, and it's just cows and cows and cows and cows and cows, and they're not taken care of in any sort of way. So you have these animals that are not taken care of in any sort of way. They're not in their natural habitat. Usually they're out eating grass, but they're literally on just these big, giant dirt farms, and they're given pellets. That's not how they're supposed to be taken care of. That's not the normal thing that they eat. They don't get to walk around like they normally do. So clearly their bodies are not taken care of as much as they're supposed to be. And then people are ingesting the actual dairy that comes from them. So maybe the fact that we're not taking care of animals, and the entire coronavirus started from somebody eating an animal that they probably shouldn't have been eating. So you have that to think about. How about the fact that we don't take care of our bodies enough, our own bodies, by the food that we eat, by the the lack of working out that we might have, by the fact that we're drinking alcohol or putting something into it that is lowering our immune system, and so therefore we're not taking care of our bodies as much as we should, is what it's showing us, and therefore our immune systems are now being compromised by what we do, what we think, how we treat ourselves, the food we put into our bodies, the lack of working out or the working out that we don't do. All of that stuff is now making us more compromised to then get this virus that is spreading across the world. So we have a few things. Number one, we have the way that we treat the earth. from the pandemic. It's showing us that we're not treating the earth correctly. Number two, it's showing us that we don't treat animals correctly. We act as if animals don't have a conscience, that they don't know what's going on, that they're not smart enough to understand the shit that we're putting them through and the torture that we put them through. And the third thing is we act like, the third thing is bringing us our awareness to is our bodies and actually what we do with them or the things that we don't do them. So it's making us very aware of those things. So and then we have the food, obviously, that we feed ourselves as well. So that's a few things that it is waking us up to. Our paradigm is shifting of maybe I should pay attention to how we treat the earth. Maybe I should pay attention to how we treat animals. Maybe I should pay attention to how I take care of my body. Maybe I should pay attention to the food that I put into my body. And it's not just about taste, or as Joe Rogan likes to call it, mouth pleasure. Of just sitting there and being like, oh, well, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and eat this because it tastes good. Not thinking about the fact that it could put extra fat onto my body if I have too much sugar. So it's making us wake up. Why I talk about the Great Awakening. It's making us wake up to what we're doing because we have been in a zombie state. What else is 2020 making us wake up to? The fact that we have the protests and everything that's going on, the way that we treat each other. The inequality that so blatantly exists that we just act like doesn't exist. We need to wake up to the fact that there are people out there that sometimes need our help, and they need to have the equality that we, if you're a white person that's in America, you've been treated a way that's been different than other people. Is that fair? No. How do we make it fair? Make sure that everybody has the equal opportunity. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that just because somebody has a different amount of pigment in their skin that they could be treated differently. It's like the Bob Marley quote that reminds me of his song War. He says, until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes, I say war. Think about that for a second. Does it matter what color someone's eyes are? Of course it doesn't. So why does it matter what color someone's skin is? It's just their ancestors' adaptation to how much sun they got and what the climate was like. That's really all that it is. It has nothing to do with their intelligence. It has nothing to do with who they are. It's just the color of their skin. So why would somebody, just because of the color of their own skin, have less equality than somebody else? Why would somebody be treated differently than someone else? So we're being woken up to the fact that there are people that we need to stick up for. There are people that we need to have their backs. There are people that we need to march for. There are people that we need to say, you know what? I'm here for you. Whether you need me to go out and march with you, or whether you just need me to listen to whatever it is that you got to vent to me, I'm all ears, and I will not judge you in any sort of way. And that human connection of we should treat others the way that we want to be treated. Whether they look like you, whether they don't look like you, you should treat others the way that you want to be treated. It's the golden rule. It's so simple, isn't it? Treat others as you want to be treated. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Why would you treat anybody differently? So maybe it's waking us up to not only the fact that we don't treat the earth right, not only the fact that we don't treat animals right, not only the fact that we don't treat our bodies right, but also to the fact that we don't treat each other right. This paradigm shift that's waking us up. And think about this. We've had to sit in our houses for months. Some people are still sitting in their house. They've been there for months. You can't run from yourself when you've been sitting in your house for months. One of the things that I noticed that people like to keep themselves very, very busy. And the reason why they like to keep themselves busy is subconsciously, they don't want to deal with all of the shit that they really truly need to deal with. What is 2020 doing to us? It's making us look at ourselves in the mirror and saying, what do I need to fix about myself and also the world around me? Because we're all in this together. We don't exist without the earth. We don't exist without the animals. We don't exist without our bodies, and we don't exist without each other. We're all in this together. It's time for us to wake up. The Great Awakening, the spiritual awakening of, oh my God, it's not just me. I always say that you're either on self or you're on purpose. Either you're being selfish and you're thinking about yourself and only yourself, or You're on purpose and you're thinking about others, and you're thinking about the earth, you're thinking about the animals, you're thinking about how you should treat people and what you should do. You know, people always ask me, they're like, why did you decide to, you know, I'm probably 95% vegan. The reason why I'm the only other 5% is because sometimes it's hard to go out and eat at certain places, and sometimes it's there. I had a very big spiritual awakening during a ayahuasca ceremony where I saw animals being tortured and felt what they felt. And I realized that my entire life I've been supporting animal cruelty, and I've been supporting animal rape. Because in order to have dairy, you have to continue to keep impregnating the cows over and over and over again. I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't want to gross everybody out that's out there. But I had this big spiritual awakening of I can get all of the nutrients that I need, if I'm smart about it, from different types of food. So why would I need to be part of something that tortures and kills animals for our own consumption? Why does something need to die in order for me to eat? I was woken up. Holy shit, I can never unsee what I just saw. I saw it. So then I thought to myself, why don't I just try it for a little while and see how it works? And I realized it wasn't that hard. And I realized that I lost weight doing it. And I realized that my skin cleared up doing it. And I realized that I slept better. And I realized that all of the sore joints and muscles that I had in my body started to go away. And I was like, holy crap, I actually feel better from not eating dead flesh. For me, that was an awakening. And I think in different aspects of every single person's out there, we're having our great awakening of maybe I should look at the food I eat. Maybe I should look at the way that I treat the earth. Maybe I should look at the way I treat my body. Maybe I should look at the way I treat other people. It's time for us to stop being selfish and wake up to the fact that we're all in this together. There's not a part of the system that can go down, whether it's the earth, the animals, our bodies, or each other. There's not a part of that system that can go down and have the entire system continue to run the way it always has been. We need to help each other. Every animal that we can, every human that we can, no matter what they look like, no matter what they believe in, no matter the color of their skin, no matter their gender, no matter their sexual preference. We need to team up and be together and help people no matter what. We need to listen to people more and stop talking and throwing our opinions at people, but to put ourselves in someone else's shoes to think, man, I've never thought of it from their perspective, but now I can, and now I can support them. It's a great awakening. The universe has stepped in, or God has stepped in, or whatever it is has stepped in and said, enough is enough. Wake the fuck up. Change what you're doing because it's unsustainable. It's time to wake up. We've been zombies for way too long. We've been zombies. We've been asleep. That's why it's called the awakening. We are waking up. We are now, quote unquote, woke to what's going on around us. There's so much darkness that could be found in the world, but I'll tell you this, there's so much more light that's in the world. So instead of going out there and being the darkness, why don't we go out there and be the light? Because the only way to get rid of light, or the only way to get rid of darkness is to get it. The only way to get rid of darkness is to bring the light. And the only way to bring the light is to be the change that you want to see in the world. Can I make other people go vegan? No, I can't. But I can do it. And people can ask me why I do it, and I can educate them on it. And maybe they'll decide to eat a little bit less meat. You know, I can't make people listen to somebody else in their own another person's point of view or opinion, but I can be there and do it, and maybe someone else will do it and say, you know what, I should do that as well. You can't change people. If you want to think about how hard it is to change people, think about how hard it is to change yourself, and then realize it's near impossible to change people. But if you can change yourself and you can be the change that you want to see in the world, you start to be the lighthouse, and you start to wake other people up around you so that they can see maybe the changes that they should make in the world as well. The number one thing that I recommend that you do to make this year the absolute best year of your life. Do you want to know what it is? Develop your willpower. Make your mind, your body, your resilience, your motivation, and your drive the strongest thing in your life. So many people look up to other people and say, oh man, I wish I was motivated as this person. I wish I was driven as this person. Do you want to know where that comes from? It's developed. It's like a muscle. Willpower is like a muscle. To be able to go, you know what? I don't feel like doing this, but I know what I want my life to be, so I'm going to do it anyways. I don't care what I feel like, I'm going to do it anyways. That is what willpower is. To have a goal of what you want to work for, to figure out what that is, and to work at it no matter the circumstances of each day, no matter how you feel each day. It's to do it even when you don't want to do it. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, you know I'm a very big proponent on doing what you don't want to do. Why? Because if we're being honest, we're all pretty soft. Let's be honest, like we're soft. If we think about our ancestors and all of the stuff that our ancestors had to go through compared to us, we're freaking soft. We live in air-conditioned buildings, heated buildings. We have our food that we just walk into stores and get. We don't have to hunt and gather and forage. We don't have any battles that we're really going to war with every single day. We don't have to worry, most of us, about somebody walking into our house and trying to take our land from us every single day. We are soft, and we can admit that, can't we? But it doesn't mean that we can't build up the resilience. What it means is that we've built up our softness. And so we need to develop this mind, this iron mind, this mindset of I'm going to do it anyways because I know what I'm going to do. And a soft mind and a soft body does not change the world. A soft mind and a soft body does not change their own life. And a soft mind and a soft body does not change their family's life, their community's life, and their loved ones' lives at all. And so it's up to us. The responsibility is up to us to make a change. You know, I saw a meme the other day, and I've seen it many times. I used to actually show it in presentations, and it's this guy, and it's a cartoon. He looks like he's a politician, and he says, "Who wants change?" And you could see the little bubble coming out of his mouth. Who wants change? And everybody in the crowd raises their hand, and it's like, yeah, everybody wants change. And then he says, "Who wants to change?" And the very next picture, the cartoon right after, he says, "Who wants to change?" Everybody's hands are down because everybody wants something done for them, but they don't want to get off their ass and actually do it. If you're listening to this podcast, if my little bit hardcore say it as it is appeals to you, then you're probably the type of person that's like, I'm going to go and get it. I don't care. I'm going to conquer myself, right? I'm going to develop the mind that I need to get what I want in life and to impact the world. And ultimately, what it comes down to is a comfort zone. The last thing that I want to be stuck in going into 2021 is 2020's comfort zone. I don't want any of 2020 to come into 2021 with me. I don't know about you. 2020 was actually a pretty good year for me. I enjoyed a lot of it. For a lot of people, it wasn't very good, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean that 2020 needs to carry on. It means that we need to cut ties with it. We need to break free from it, and we need to go, what do I want? You know, this year was great for me. This year wasn't great for me. This year was okay for me. But next year is my year, and I am going to figure out a way to get it done, to succeed, to get what I want, no matter the circumstances. I'm going to get it. Once again, what is that? It's the willpower to do what you don't want to do, to get out of your comfort zone. And the way I always like to explain a comfort zone that makes sense to a lot of people is this. If you think of a rubber band, if I had a rubber band in my hand and I'm pulling the rubber band apart, that's you stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone. And I can't tell you how many people reach out to me. And the number one thing I hear from people that reach out to me is, hey, Rob, I'm really good at starting stuff on my challenges and my goals and trying to go through, but I'm really bad at finishing. What should I do about finishing? That's one of the main things that I hear from people is I'm really good at starting. I get really excited, then I never finish anything. So I never get my goals hit. I don't make the money that I want. I don't have the life that I want because I don't finish anything that I actually start. And the reason why is because if you think of a rubber band, if you're pulling it, people will pull themselves and pull themselves and pull themselves and stretch their comfort zone and stretch it for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 10 days. And then what happens? They start shrinking back. They start doing the things that got them in the comfort zone in the first place. They start sleeping in. They stop going to the gym. They stop reading the books. They stop meditating. They stop eating healthy. They go back to drinking, whatever it is. And slowly but surely that rubber band goes back to the same size because we start to fall back in our old habits. What do you need to do? You need to break it. That's what you need to do. You need to break your comfort zone. You need to break the rubber band. So if you pull the rubber band long enough, far enough, and you keep pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, eventually it's going to snap. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to pull ourselves for so long outside of our comfort zone and pull and pull and pull every single day and be consistent and pull until we've broken out of our comfort zone and we've created a new version of ourselves. That's what we're trying to work towards. That's what we're trying to build. We're trying to consistently push ourselves every single day. That's the value into it. We're trying to bring a brand new comfort zone into 2021 that doesn't look anything like any other comfort zone we've ever had, because it's so much bigger and so much more expansive. And we, as a person, are so much better than we have ever been. And the thing that I think that most people need to think about is a phrase, to do what you don't want to do. I love it. To wake up and to eat the frog. What does that mean? If you've never heard the phrase eat the frog, what it is there's one thing, at least one thing, but there's always one thing every single day that you have to do, that you don't want to freaking do, that you're dreading doing, and you definitely don't want to do it. And what do they say? Eat that frog first thing in the morning. Eat the frog. Because who would want to eat a frog? Nobody wants to eat a frog. So if you think of it that way of like, I'm going to eat this frog, this thing that is staring at me, I'm going to just say, you know what? Pop it in my mouth. I'm going for it, baby. I'm going to eat that frog. This is the benefit of doing the things that you don't want to do, to push yourself a little bit more, over and over again. And that's the reason why you're going to be outside of your comfort zone. And to do what you don't want to do, the perfect example for me is I hate cold showers. If you follow me on Instagram, if you don't, you need to follow me on Instagram, Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. You've seen my Instagram stories lately. I've been outside in my 40-degree pool when it's 35 degrees outside, it's cold as hell, and I've been sitting there for 15, 16, 17 minutes inside of that pool. It's not because I'm weird and sadistic and I'm like, I'm going to torture myself today. No, it's because I don't want to do it. And I know that the voice that's saying, hey man, don't go in the pool today, is the same voice that says, hey man, sleep in today. Hey man, don't go to the gym. Hey, have that extra slice of pizza. Hey, don't eat the salad. Hey, that's that little voice that pops up everywhere. My job every single day is to literally conquer that inner voice. The funny thing about the whole Iron Mind challenge that I was telling you about at the beginning here is that the number one thing that people are most afraid of is the cold showers. What the hell? It's literally just getting your naked body into a cold shower, just cold water on your skin. Will you die? No. But that's the funny thing about the little voice inside of your head, is it builds it up as if it's this big monstrous thing that's going to kill you. And in reality, it's literally you versus you. Your entire life, everything that you do is a battle of you versus you. You, the person that wants to build a life that you want, and you on the other side that's trying to hold yourself in your comfort zone because you've been there for so long. It's you versus you. It's not you versus a government, or you versus a president, or you versus, what your parents said when you were younger, or what your teacher said, or what you were raised with. No, it's never anybody else outside of you. It's you versus you. It will be for the rest of your life, and it always has been your entire life. So if you're not in the position that you want to be in your life right now, it's because the you that's holding you back has been holding you back, and you've been listening too much to it too much. If you are where you want to be, it's because you've been conquering that little voice, conquering that little bitch inside of you. That's the thing. It's so funny how many people are like, oh yeah, I would join the Iron Mind challenge, but I just don't want to take the cold showers. Well, that's because we've come too soft, right? It's literally just a cold shower. There's obviously a lot of physical benefits for it. You can Google it, of how good it is for your cardiovascular system, for your skin, for so many different things. There's a lot of benefits to that. But on the other side, the reason why I really like it, besides all of those things, is because the battle of my life is me versus me. It's always been me versus me. It will always be me versus me. And so I'm going to wake up every single day and either take a cold shower or jump in my freezing cold pool. And the reason why is because I'm trying to conquer that little voice inside of my head. And I don't want to do it. That's why I do it. That's the crazy part. It makes sense, but at the same time, you're like, this is crazy. The reason why you do it is because you don't want to do it. That's why. It's really not hard. It's not scientific and this big, huge thing where you got to break it down. No, it's so simple. There's two sides of you that are always at battle, like I said. There's the you that wants this amazing life and a lot of money and a lot of happiness and success and traveling and giving your kids everything that you never had and all of this joy and peace and love that you want in your life. There's that side of you that wants to bring out your full potential to the world. And there's the other side of you that you can't get to shut up. And what do we need to do? We need to wake up every single day and do what we don't want to do to make that little voice that's holding us back diminished. A little bit every single day, a little bit every single day, a little bit every single day. And when you wake up in the morning and you have something like that, it's a win. And when you can start your day off with a win, it builds so much momentum into everything else. You know, if there's something that I don't want to do in my business or I don't want to do, anywhere, if I've woken up and I've jumped inside of a cold pool, or I've jumped inside of a cold shower and I've conquered that, the rest of the day is easy. I've got momentum on my side. That's the beautiful thing about it. And so that's what I want you to realize. There's always two sides of you. There's the side of you that's that wants greatness, and there's a side of you that's comfortable. There's the side of you that wants to get out of bed and have a beautiful morning routine. And there's a side of you that's like, damn, this bed is so comfortable. Maybe I should sleep in a little bit and start tomorrow. There's the side of you that wants to go to the gym. And there's a side of you that's like, damn, pizza sounds good. There's a side of you that wants to go out and create the success that you want to, so that you can support your family at a higher level. And then there's a side of you that's like, well, maybe I should just stay on Instagram the whole day, right? So there's two sides of you constantly at battle. Which one are you going to let win? Because ultimately, whichever one wins is going to dictate what your life is going to be. And if you've been listening to the show long enough, you know that my number one fear is to get to end of my life, be on my deathbed, and wish that I would have done more, that I would have helped more people, that I would have pulled out more potential, that I would have had more happiness, more joy, more peace. You know that's what my biggest fear is. And so I'm working to bring out the greatness inside of me every single day. Do I win every single day? Not every single day. But the majority of days I win, and I chalk that up as a win. And so that's the reason why you've got to work towards consistency of doing the things that you don't want to do every single day to make that little voice that's inside of your head diminished. You've got to listen. You've got to listen. You've got to listen. Your life is dictated by the actions that you take. And the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you're afraid of jumping into a cold shower, you're probably afraid of other little tiny things inside of your life. If you're coming up short on your workouts, you're probably coming up short in your relationships. If you're coming up short in the workouts, you're also probably coming up short in your business, in your finances, and everything else. And so for me, what I try to do is just try to build the resilience up of I'm going to create the life that I want. And in order to do that, I've got to develop discipline. I've got to have a willpower that will just run through a freaking wall no matter what. And believe me, I wasn't born with it. I'm still working at it. I'm way better than I ever have been, and I'm getting better every single day at it. But I want you to start thinking about yourself. Start thinking about the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Where are you coming up short? Where are you staying in your comfort zone? Where are you not showing up fully? Where are you giving up too early? Because if you're doing that, you're also doing in one place in your life, you're doing it everywhere in your life. And that's going to make everything in your life not as good as it could be. So it's something to think about, something to dive into. It's something to really be serious about and say, where do I need to develop the willpower in my life? And start identifying little pieces of your life, little places where you could show up better. Maybe you listen to me talk and you're like, yeah, this cold shower thing sounds like it sucks, but it does kind of make some sense. Believe me, it makes sense. The funny thing about these Ironmind challenges is at the end of it, at the beginning of it, everyone freaking hates it. They resent it. They're pissed off. It's the hardest thing for them is to just do a freaking cold shower for a minute or two. By the end of it, they're like, that was one of the most life-changing things I've ever done, because every day I was working at conquering my mind. And so every time that little voice came in and said, hey man, don't jump in the shower. No one's going to know. I had to click off my willpower brain and say, no, you, I'm going anyways. And that's what we're trying to do, because that's the same voice that pops up and says, hey, sleep in. And you're like, no, screw you, I'm getting up. The one that says, hey, don't go make the extra cold calls. You're like, screw you, I'm going to go do it anyways. The one that says, hey, don't go, knock on those doors and do some sales. It's snowing outside. And you're like, screw you, I'm going to put on my boots. I'm going to go out. I'm going to do it anyways. That's what life is. It's the internal battle of you versus you, willpower and discipline versus comfort zone. The question is, which one are you going to listen to? Because it will ultimately dictate where your life is going to be. And I hope that you don't get to the end of your life and wish that you would have done more, because then you can look back and go, yeah, I see where I should have been a little bit more disciplined. I see where I should have had more willpower. I see how my family's life would have been better if I would have stepped up. My number one goal for 2022, and what I would hope that you actually adopt as your number one goal for 2022 as well. And I adopted this frame of mind last year, this year that we're in, 2021, and it was my number one goal. And usually when we sit down and we say, okay, these are my New Year's resolutions, this is what I wanted. I want to work on my body, I want to work on my business, I want to make more money, I want to have better relationships, I want to be a better boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, a better parent. You can look at all of those, and all of those are great, but I have one kind of umbrella over all of those things. And I had it last year, I'm going to have it this year again. And this is to live my life in 2022 as if the very last day I'm going to be alive is December 31st, 2022. So my goal is to live every day like I'm dying. Every single day, my goal is, this is my last day on earth. I'm going to live like this is my last day. And I'm going to have everything build up to as if this is my last year that I'm going to be on earth. Because ultimately, let's be real. I don't know if this is going to be my last year on earth. I don't know if this is going to be your last year on earth. And it very well could be. I say it all of the time, but 150,000 people didn't wake up from their sleep, or 150,000 people that woke up yesterday did not wake up today. In saying that, knowing, okay, one day it's going to be the day. I don't know. Hopefully it's a long time from now. One day it is going to be the last day of my life, whether I realize it or whether I don't. And so I'm going to pretend like the year 2023 doesn't even exist. It doesn't exist in my mind. I'm never going to see it. I'm going to live like that. Now, hopefully I do see it, but I'm going to live as if it was absolutely the last year of my life. And going through this last year with that number one intention has shifted and changed a lot of things in my life. And I told you this last year that this was my goal, if you've been listening for a long time. And I'm going to tell you that this year coming up, it is also my goal again as well. Because as I said, we're going to die. It's going to happen. And you're not going to, if this was the last year of your life, you're not going to do things that you don't want to do. If I said, hey, today's the last day that you're going to be alive, you're going to take no actions today that are not things that you actually want to do. And this is important because if you've been listening to me long enough, you know that I live my life through a lens of, if it's not a yes, it's a no. And so when you think to yourself, if this was my last day and I'm looking at my schedule and what I have to do today, would this be what I would do? Or would I do something different? Is today a full yes for me? Like, am I so excited to go into my day, or am I waking up kind of, oh God, I guess I got to go ahead and do this. I guess I got to go to work, right? So if I've had those feelings before when I worked for someone else, and there's nothing wrong with working for anybody. I'm just the type of person where I can't work for anybody. It's just not built into me. But if you're going to a job, when you're driving to your job, are you excited about the opportunities that you have? Are you excited about what it is that you're going to do? Is your job a full yes for you? Is your relationship that you're in a full yes for you? I've had people that have emailed me, it's kind of funny, since the very first time that I did my yes, no episode about a year and a half ago. And they're like, I have changed so many aspects of my life. I have somebody who is a friend of mine that literally got out of a relationship, a long-term, it was like 5-year relationship, because they listened to the episode and they asked themselves, is my relationship that I'm in a full yes? And they started going through the aspects of it and thinking of it and saying, oh my gosh, it's actually not. Like, I'm living in a relationship and I love this person and they're great. But if I look into what the future looks like, if we stay together, am I like a full yes, knowing that this is my one life? When you go through your day and you go through everything that you do throughout the day, ask yourself this question: is what I'm doing right now a full yes? Like, is this something that I'm 100% yes, I love this? So when I wake up in the morning and the coffee that I drink, is it coffee for me? Does that feel like it's a full yes for me? Or does today feel like a tea day? Like, coffee, maybe it makes me a little bit more anxious than tea does. So maybe today is more of a tea day. Or, you know what? Today it's actually neither one of them. I don't need the caffeine to get up, and it might be on the weekend. And you might say, you know what? I don't need to put myself into a little bit more of an anxious state. So is it the coffee that you drink? Is it a hell yes for you? Is it the food that you eat in the morning? Is it a hell yes for you? Is your morning routine, what's your morning routine look like? Is it a hell yes for you? Is it your workout process? Is it a hell yes for you? The people that you're spending your morning with, if you're spending your morning and you're just going straight into work and emails and everything, and you're missing your kids when they leave for school, is that a hell yes for you? I have a lot of people that I've worked with in the past, one-on-one clients that are, very successful people, and they have great businesses. And what's really interesting is that their number one goal is just to be able to start taking their kids to school every single morning because they love that routine, and their business has taken so much from them. They built a business to not have time to drop their kids off at school, and they just love having that present moment with them. So if you look at your morning routine, is there some changes that you could make that would be like, hey, this is a full hell yes for me. Like, this is a full yes. This is what I want to do. Or are there aspects of it that you would want to shift? Okay. Going into work, whether you have your own business or you work for somebody else, is it a full yes for you as well? Like, are you like, yes, this is what I want to do. The times that I'm spending, my waking hours, this is exactly what I want to be doing with my life. And all too often I find people settle. They do what they feel like they're supposed to do. And I understand if you have a family or if you have a house and you have bills that you have to pay, there are certain obligations that you have built into your life. I get it. I understand it. But what I always say to people is if your job is not like a hell yes for you, okay, well, what would be a hell yes for you? Can you make your job that you currently have or your business that you currently have like full on, yes, this is what I want to be doing? Is there ways to shift that? Can you have a conversation with your manager about some of the things that you do so that your job can be more of a hell yes for you? Or are you working a job where you're just showing up, you're going to a cubicle and you're doing things that you have to do and you know that there's no way around it? Okay. Maybe you look at that and you say, well, if this is my last day on earth, this is my last year on earth, I'm going to live like I'm dying this year. And I know I got to go to work because I got to pay the bills if this is my last year with life. Can I do something that I actually love to do? Can I do something that feels like it's working towards the right direction? So maybe it's like, is there another job that might pay you about the same? Maybe it pays you a little more, maybe it pays you a little less, but you feel so good going into that job doing what it is that you're doing. Is it a hell yes for you? Is it something that you want to do? The route that you take to work, is it a hell yes for you? Maybe you've got a route to work that's the faster way, but maybe you could go a more scenic, more beautiful route that puts you in nature that feels better for you. And you just enjoy that drive more. Sometimes enjoying the drive is worth the extra time. So like, I'll give you a good example. When we drive from Austin down to San Antonio to go see my fiance's parents, there's a route that will take us to San Antonio, and it's about 15 minutes shorter if we take all of the interstates. Or we can drive through Texas Hill Country and we can see nature and it's beautiful and you can see the sunrise, you can see the sunset. And even though it takes 15 minutes longer, it makes the drive more enjoyable. We go the extra 15 minutes because it makes the 2 to 2 hours and 15 minutes a more enjoyable process. Is there a route that you can do in that would be something that would be better for you? The route that you take to work. When you get into your car, is your car like a full hell yes for you? I'm not saying you have to drive like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or anything like that, but can you make the car that you currently have more of a hell yes for you? Can you make some adjustments and maybe change your car around a little bit? Or maybe just in general, is there another car that you could get that could be a hell yes for you? There's all these little teeny tiny changes that you start to go through in your life. You start to make shifts so that you actually enjoy what you're doing. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, very successful guy. He's in his 50s, and at the time he was worth about $100 million. And I was about to interview him for the podcast about 4 years ago, whatever it was. And at that point in time, I was driving a 2007 Hyundai Santa Fe, and I could afford another car at that point in time. But my mindset around this car was that I'm going to run this freaking thing into the ground. Like I was getting pride in the fact that I was going to run this thing to the ground. And he said one thing to me that I'll never forget. He wasn't trying to talk me into anything, but we were talking about cars and stuff, and he drives like a Lexus, nothing, no Ferraris or Lamborghinis or any of that type of stuff. And he goes, you know what? I just find that when I drive a car that I enjoy, I show up better. Like I show up better for whatever it is I'm doing when I get there. And I enjoy myself more in that car. And he gave me this whole how he feels. And immediately I was like, I got to buy something else. And I told him this, I was like, I have to buy something else. And about a month later, I went and bought a truck because I had, found the truck that I wanted. It, got really good gas mileage compared to everything else that I'd seen. And I'd always wanted a truck my entire life. And I was like, you know what? I want to get this truck. And I got it. And I realized what he was talking about. Like instead of getting into my car and there's a energy in the back of my head of like, yeah, screw this Hyundai Santa Fe. It was like, I was actually excited to get into my car because I loved the truck that I had. And so there was this little shift. And did it cost me more money? Sure. But what happened was I realized exactly what he was saying was true, is that I showed up better to everything that I did. There wasn't a part of me that was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to park my 2007 Hyundai Santa Fe in the back so nobody sees me driving my, it's a light blue 2007 Hyundai Santa Fe. It's called the Mom Mobile because it looked like I was about to drop kids off at school or at soccer practice. And I don't have any kids, but I was driving the friggin' thing around still from years and years and years when I was an outside sales rep because it used to store stuff really well. And I was kind of embarrassed by the car, but took some pride in I'm going to run this thing to the ground. And then I had this conversation. I shifted. And I was like, I'm going to buy something new, something that I enjoy. And I bought it. And I was like, he's right. He was right. He was 100% right. I show up better the entire time that I'm driving. Like if you think of how many hours you drive over the course of an entire year, well, shouldn't those hours be more enjoyable? The music that you listen to, the podcasts that you listen to, the YouTube stations that you can listen to as you're driving, like, are all of those things yeses for you? If this was your last year on life, what would you be doing? Would you be listening to something that you enjoy more? Would you be filling your mind with something that makes you feel better so that you show up better, so that you can impact more people? And so you start to think of all these little teeny tiny aspects of your life in the everything that you have and go, you know what, maybe I should shift this. Maybe I should change this around a little bit. You look at the people that you work with, the people that are around you. Maybe you like your job, but you hate your coworkers. Okay, well, is there a way to shift that so that you can enjoy every aspect of your job more often? Is, the people in your life, the people that you hang out with the most, are you like full hell yes on these people? Or, and I put up a post on Instagram about this the other day, like you've got to be okay with unfollowing some people from your life. Same way that you unfollow somebody on Facebook or Instagram when they're not, they're putting up too much posts that make you feel bad, or they're not, they're just too negative, or they're in the comment section talking trash with people, and you can see their comments pop up when you're scrolling through Facebook because they went on a political post or whatever it is and started bashing people, and you can see those things. Well, are there people that are kind of like that as well in your life where you're like, I should unfollow this? If this person were on Facebook and I saw the way that they're talking to people around me, I saw the way that they're treating myself and all of this, would I unfollow? Would I block them on Facebook? And you start to look at the people in your life and change those things. The place that you go out to lunch, the food that you're eating, your drive home, are all of those things hell yeses for you? Or are they just things that you've been doing them for so long, your mind just kind of goes numb and you don't even pay attention anymore. And so you start to go through every single aspect, your drive home, your evening routines, right? Is it you come home and you just put something in the microwave and you spend 2 hours watching Netflix and then you just go to bed at 11 o'clock and you're kind of tired and all of that stuff? Do you have an evening routine that fills you up, that makes you feel good? Are you reading books instead? Are you journaling? Are you doing a short meditation, an evening routine to set your subconscious up the way that you want to? The time that you get in bed, the bed that you have, there's all of these little tiny things that if we were to go through with a fine-tooth comb and try to pull out everything that we like and keep it, and pull out everything we don't like and replace it, what aspects of your life would you change? Would you be like, you know what? I kind of hate my bed. I'm going to get a more comfortable bed because this is my last year on earth. And start to change all of these things. You go through your life and find out what is a full hell yes for you and what is, a hell no for you. Are you doing what you want to do? And this is an important question I'm going to ask you. And I ask this all the time. A lot of times when I'm on lives and I'm on Zoom calls and people are, I literally did this earlier today. I was on a consultation call with somebody. I was consulting somebody who has a business, and their business does a few $1 million a year. And I said, hey, talk to the CEO. I said, hey, we're going into really deep of things we're talking about here, but hey man, what do you want? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you want? Like, what do you actually want? When we can build out the systems and the processes and the marketing and the sales team and all of this stuff, and we can help you with that. But what do you actually want? Because I don't want to build something and have you put a whole lot of time into something when you don't even actually want that thing. Because if you have something that you want, you're going to put hours into it and be more focused into making it better. If you have something that you don't want, it's going to make building this team, building this product that you're selling, building this offer, building the marketing behind it, putting the sales funnel together and putting the video sales letter and all those things together, it's going to be more energy consuming to have to force yourself to do it versus feeling like, hell yeah, I want to do this thing. And so you look at it and ask yourself, like, what do you actually want? And that's a great question to write down on pen and paper. Like, what do I want? And just make it as broad as you possibly can and answer that question. Then you can take the exact same question and you can put it into each aspect of your life. What do I want in my family? And then you can journal through that. What do I want in my body? What do I want in my health? What do I want in my relationships? What do I want in my business? What do I want in my finances? What do I want in the route that I take to work? What do I want in the food that I eat? What do I want in my morning routine? What do I want in my evening routine? What do I want to do with my free time? What do I want to do in my traveling? And you can go very vague, what do I want? And then just see what you want. And you get very granular and go, what do I want in my business? And you can say, okay, what do I want in my business? You could journal through it. You could look through it and say, okay, what do I want in my sales team? What do I want in my marketing? If you look at your relationships and you say, what do I want in my marriage? What do I want in my relationship with my children? What do I want in my relationship with my mom and my dad, my brother and my sister, my cousins? What do I want in every single aspect of my life? And you start to plan out to build what would be the perfect life, knowing that you might not be able to take action on every single thing right now, but what do you want? Now let's go a little bit deeper. You look at every single one of those as well, and this is a great exercise. I implore all of you to do this. Please do this. Then you ask yourself, what do I not want? So what do I not want in my life? You know what? I don't want any more negative people. Okay, great. I don't want conversations that don't have the energy of transformation in them anymore. What do I not want in my relationships? What do I not want in my family? What do I not want in my business? What do I not want in my marketing? What do I not want in my sales process? What do I not want in every single aspect of what I do? What do I not want in my car? What do I not want in the drive to work? And you start to figure out what it is that you want and what it is that you don't want. You'll start to realize that you have a lot of processes and things that you go through and routines every single day that you don't even want to do. And if this were the last time that you're going to be like, if this is your last day on earth, what are you going to do about it? Like, would you want to do those things that you don't want to do anymore? No. And so why would we act as if we have forever? Why would we act as if we have a million years on this earth? Why would we act as if we're just guaranteed tomorrow, if we're just guaranteed another year? And you start to build out what would be from this process. You start to build out the perfect day for you, the perfect life for you, and something that is going to be exciting for you to wake up and get into. And that's going to make every single day better. But what's going to happen is you're going to start to notice that if you do this and you get very diligent on doing the things you want and not doing the things you don't want, you're going to start to actually realize you're building your perfect life. And I have a friend who, he was a number 30 employee in Facebook, and when he got fired from Facebook right before they went public, a few months before they went public, and when he got fired, he lost all of his stock in Facebook. And if he would have just been there for a few more months when they went public, he would have made $180 million. And he went into a depression because he went from literally, I could have made $180 million to I have nothing right now. And one of the phrases that will stick with me for the rest of my life is the thing that got him out of depression is he asked himself, what would make me happy? Like, what would make me happy? And he made this massive list of all of the things that made him happy. And the phrase that he said that I'll never forget to the day I die, I will not let my happiness or my depression be left up to chance. And too many of our lives are left up to chance, and we just go with the flow. He became very diligent on making sure that he looked at his happy list every single morning. He looked at his schedule next to his happy list every single morning. He said, how can I put as many of these things in here as possible? Like, what do I love? What makes me happy? Going on walks. Okay, how can I do a walk in the forest outside of Austin, because we have a lot of trails around here? How can I do a walk today in that hour-long break that I have for work? And he started building in everything that makes him happy, everything that he wants into his life. And he started realizing that his depression slowly started going away because he wasn't doing anything they didn't want to do anymore. And so I want you to realize that your day will come, my day will come, all of our days will come at some point in time. It just makes more sense for us to live a life that we absolutely love, but it starts with living each day and the next year that we have, living a life that we love. So be intentional with every single thing that you do, and you will realize that you have built a life that you actually love. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. If you want to learn even more about mastering your mind, click right here and watch this video as well. Pretend that there's no such thing as quote unquote being realistic, because being realistic really just means setting self-limiting beliefs, because nothing is realistic except for what you say is.